they'll be there for you and they'll help you out. And it's a resource I encourage everybody to look towards. And working with them and the Legal Education Society of Alberta to create a webinar course coming up for basically navigating the legal workplace. And more information on that will be coming out soon.
Thank you very much. So I can see that Tanvi is also here. Tanvi, please can we meet you?
Hi, my name is Tanvi Gala. I'm from India actually. And I just graduated from law, and that is why, and I've always, the thing is, I came to Canada 3 years back for a Harvard World Month, and after that I just wanted to settle down in Canada. It was like a dream country to live in and everything. So now that I've graduated, I'm looking for my options to, like, how I can move to Canada.
Yeah.
And I heard a lot about your Global Law Connect. So I thought I'll join in for the session and just hear about it and, take from all of your experiences and see what options I could have.
Interesting. We have a WhatsApp platform for people who are your situation with you. I don't know if you've heard about that. You can you can just message me after now, so I can add it to the group. Then you can get all the information.
I'll definitely do that.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you.
Thank
and
you.
Then I'm sorry, Kene. I'm just very happy to
So Dayo, just as heads up, Dr. Kara will be joining us in 7 minutes.
Okay, interesting. Thank you. So we have people, and I know we have Courtney. I don't know. She's not on video though, but
I think Agnes is on the call too.
Yeah, Agnes is also here. And then we have, I'm just trying to pick on someone actually. I'm sorry. Yeah, okay.
So Agnes is one of the co-founders of GLC.
Yeah.
I think she should activate that video and talk to us too.
Okay, but before Agnes comes up, we're gonna have Tina. Yeah.
Hello everyone, hi. Hi, nice meeting you all.
Yeah, nice.
This is actually the first GLC meeting I'm attending, and I'm very new here. So I got connected with you on LinkedIn, I think, first, and then I started following you also on Instagram. And well, actually, I haven't yet landed in Canada, so I'm talking with you from Tehran, Iran. And I have plans to take NCA exams in August. So I have studied law and I've been lawyer here in Iran. And I joined GLC to meet everyone and see how everyone's journey is going on and to learn from. Nice meeting you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Yeah, and just to tell our members, please feel very free to contact us, to talk to any of our members about what's going on, to our directors about what's going on. We are very happy to talk to you and to guide you. Yeah, we're happy to do that. That's why we're here. So I don't know. I'm going to try to call someone now. I think we have some 4 minutes left before we have the guest speaker. Okay, let me see. So sorry. Let me see. Someone to call. Okay, I'm gonna call on. Ronke is not video. I don't know. Can we talk to Ronke? Oh yeah, we called Ronke already. Yeah. We have okay. Agnes, are you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry. At the same time, I'm trying to manage a few things. I'm trying to multitask, and that never works, as all of you, I'm sure, know. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Agnes Bilecki. As Kenny mentioned, I'm one of the co-founders of GLC. I've been a director since then, and I'm happy to see all of you. It seems like the lunchtime is the best time for having this kind of seminar. We have great attendance. In terms of my practice, so I passed my NCA exams in 2013. I was called to the Alberta bar in 2015. I articled with Imperial Oil, and then I was practicing as an associate at Dentons Canada here in Calgary. And right now I'm practicing as an in-house lawyer, and it's my 3rd year in-house right now.
Mm.
And so just in terms of, because we have a first lawyer from Iran, so I have a question for Tina. How many exams do you have? How many NCA exams do you have?
Hello, Agnes. Well, the thing is, I have also got one LLM from US, so that's quite different for me. I think those who come from Iran Strait with no exposure to common law, I think they need to first pass take LLM courses or something. I think so, but for me, it's only it's 8 courses. It's more than 5, but it's 8 courses for me.
So just to encourage everybody, I am from the civil law jurisdiction. So my background is in Poland. I was educated, born, raised, and educated in Poland. My law degree was from Poland, first law degree, and I had 10 exams. So if you have 10 exams, don't worry, you will be fine. You will pass it all, and you will be practicing.
Yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you so much. I think like all people in my position, they all need to hear that. Thank you.
Yeah, please don't be discouraged. It's doable, and it's really it's possible. It's doable, and I am the best example of that. And again, if somebody tells you that it's different because you are from the civil law jurisdiction, no, it's not true. You're the same, and you'll be fine.
Thank you very much, Agnes. Then before we go to the next session, we just have 1 minute with Arvin. Yeah, I'm sorry to pick on you.
Hey.
Yeah. Okay, so how's it going with you? Like, where are you, and what's the experience so far?
For me?
Yes.
Okay, so just a brief introduction of myself. I'm currently a member of GLC Edmonton.
Okay.
And I am currently articling with a law firm right now. And yeah, I'm going through my CPLED through prep. And my principal is a criminal defense lawyer. So yeah, so I had to turn my video off a while back because I had to call a client. So yeah, I had to.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anything else that I need to share? I guess that's it.
I think we're just very glad to meet you. So, Kenny, are you ready for the next session?
I'm not sure Dr. Kara has joined us yet.
Okay.
Let me just see. Let me go through the list of the participants I have here.
Okay, while you do that, can we talk to Arthur?
Arthur is in Ivory Coast.
Right? Okay. Oh, he's in Ivory Coast. I see. Oh, okay. That's very good. Well, I'm going to add you to the group.
Sorry, Diane. Hi, Carly. Is Dr. Kara with us yet? Hi, Carly.
Hello.
Hi.
Thank you for having us. Kara will be on shortly.
Okay, thanks. So Dio, you can continue.
Okay.
We'll wait for Dr.
Okay. I think Eric just joined us. Eric?
Yes.
Yeah. Can we hear from you also? How are you doing? Can we meet you?
You can meet me. I don't know that I have much to offer yet because I've been working for CPLED for now. This is my 4th day.
Okay.
But happy to be sitting in on this meeting and interested to hear what Dr. Kara is going to say.
Sounds very good.
Yeah.
What do you do for CPLED, Eric?
I've just been hired as the career services advisor, or the student services advisor. The plan is that I will provide career services to prep students, particularly those who have not yet found articles. My previous role was with CPA Alberta, which is the accounting designation, and I was a career advisor there for about 7 years.
Oh, I think I saw your LinkedIn post.
Quite possibly, yes. It looks like Dr. Kara is with us now too.
Okay, great.
Hi, Dr. Kara.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course, my pleasure.
So I'll just briefly read Dr. Kara's profile before I hand over to her to give a presentation to us. So Dr. Kara Mitchelmore, she is the CEO of CPLED, and she holds a doctorate in business administration from Alberta University. She is also a fellow of the Chartered Professional Accountants, CPA, and Certified Management Accountant, CMA. She's also a certified marketing and research professional. She spent 8 years with Certified Management Accountant Alberta, including 4 years as president and CEO. Most recently, Dr. Kara was the CEO of the Marketing Research and Intelligence Association. She also has a decade of experience as an instructor, including time spent at CMA Alberta, Montreal University, and Bow Valley College. Dr. Kara is outstanding at moving projects forward, and as a leader and educator, she describes herself as output-based and inspires and equips her team to excel in that regard as well. I present to you, Dr. Kara.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much for having me here. I'm very humbled to be part of this, and I hope that we can have some good conversation and we can share with you some of the things that we're doing at CPLED that are specifically designed to help our internationally trained lawyers and law students as they try to make their way through the Canadian waters. So the first thing I think we need to do is you need to make me a presenter.
Can you need to give Dr. Kara the ability to present?
Yeah, she can present.
Here we go. Share screen. Share. All right, can everyone see that? Yes? Perfect. All right, so as was explained, I am the CEO of CPLED. I came on board in CPLED in 2018 and was tasked with building a completely new program from the ground up that was based more on skills than it was based on knowledge of the law. The philosophy being that you've either gone to a Canadian accredited law school or you've written your NCA exams and you've been qualified that you know the law. So, but there's a big difference between knowing the law and being a lawyer. And so we really wanted to build a program that was going to give students that, yes, you have the knowledge base from the law perspective, but now we're going to train you on all the skills that will help to make you more successful in being a lawyer. So we're a nonprofit organization and we provide the training that is required to be called to the bar in Alberta, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, and Saskatchewan. So I know that your organization has 3 provinces, Ontario, Alberta, and British Columbia, that you're presently focused on. So our prep program would be of most interest for students who were either planning to article in one of these provinces or move to one of these provinces and practice. But that's not to say that, you know, this is a brand new program and we're getting a lot of great feedback from it, and, you know, you show and then it becomes something that can be moved more broadly, right, if it's seen as successful. So the proof is always in the details. So what we did was we really introduced a CPLED competency framework. And to be called to the bar, To be called to the bar, students have to demonstrate a wide range of knowledge and competencies to an entry-level standard. So we introduced a new competency framework that details these competencies against which all students will be assessed. So these competencies will be introduced on the following slide. So really we talk about the mind of a CPLED trained lawyer. This is your mind on CPLED. So in order to be called to the bar, you need to know more than knowledge of the law. You have to be able to demonstrate that you have the competencies, skills, and the character to practice law to the highest standard. And new lawyers need to have communication skills and understanding of how to practice law, as well as the empathy, compassion, integrity, respect, ethical practice, commitment to diversity, so that they can serve the public and their clients more effectively. So as part of the redesign of the bar admission program for the students in Alberta, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, and Saskatchewan, we developed a new CPLED competency framework to help guide students, instructors, and assessors in understanding the specific skills and abilities that prep will help students develop. So the CPLED competency framework focuses on the whole lawyer. So what that lawyer does, how that lawyer practices, who that lawyer is, and how they behave. So in putting this together, we developed over 80 competencies with 300 learning outcomes that we focus on throughout the program. So in the first area, it's in lawyer skills, so what a lawyer does. So when you're thinking about from that first client meeting to closing a file, you have to demonstrate that you can take a legal matter from start to finish through understanding your client's unique situation, researching and analyzing potential options, executing a solution, and managing all of the administrative and client management matters that go along with that along the way. And this takes more than knowledge of the law. It takes organization and discipline. It also requires lawyers to communicate clearly with clients, the courts, colleagues, and other stakeholders. Communication is more than plain language or a well-crafted brief. It's about understanding your audience, showing empathy, communicating across different channels, and making sure that your message is understood while taking care to listen. So communication is a key component: language, cross-cultural communication, oral and written communication, and of course drafting and legal writing skills. We also focus on legal matter management. Depending on where you article, you might not get to take a file from initiation to finalization. But if you go out on your own, well, you're going to have to know how to do that. So taking a legal matter from initiation, planning, research, analysis, all the way to resolution are all skills that we focus on in the program. Secondly, is to practice and self-management. So how a lawyer practices. It's important to understand how a legal practice works, from managing risk to quality control to the operation of trusts and billing. They're all key competencies for new lawyers. And all of this comes with demands to understand the technology of the modern legal environment and the trends that will shape the environment in the future. It's also very essential for today's lawyer. The CPLED competency framework is built to help students understand how a practice works and how their work within a practice contributes to the organization's success. From time management, project management, managing relationships and files in a professional manner, to ensuring that you learn the habits of mind to help manage your personal life with your workload. So the CPLED competency framework creates lawyers that practice law the right way for the public, for their firm, and for themselves. And finally, professional ethics and character, who a lawyer is and how they behave. It's not enough to say that you've read the code. Legal practice is about much more than knowing the law. It's about acting to preserve the critical role of justice in our society. Earning the trust of clients, colleagues, the public, it requires a lifelong commitment to ethics, integrity, and fairness in everything that lawyers do. So CPLED's competency framework prepares students by going beyond the ethical obligations that are outlined in the Code of Conduct to understanding the qualities and characteristics lawyers must embody to ensure that decision-making is guided by ethics and integrity. And that includes things like knowledge of the Code of Conduct, decision-making regarding ethical issues, complying with fiduciary duties and professional conduct, protecting your confidences, avoiding conflicts of interest, continuing professional development, being ethical, being courteous and honest. using non-discriminatory behavior, being principled and respectable, being trustworthy and honorable. So with that, we developed the Practice Readiness Education Program. So this program, again, is for the students in Alberta, Manitoba, Nova Scotia, and Saskatchewan. Students who choose to register for PrEP who are not members of a CPLED participating law society. You can do that. If we had students who wanted to build on their skills, they're more than welcome to sign up for the course. However, they would still have to meet the requirements in their own jurisdiction. So very careful that you check what your own requirements will be respective for applying for any program. 4 phases in the program. So we have phase 1, which is a foundation module, phase 2, which is foundation workshops, then we go into a virtual law firm for a couple of months, and phase 4 is the in-person capstone, which is a 3-day simulation. It's 9 months in length, and it will take anywhere between 275 to 300 hours in total, depending on your reading speed or how familiar you are with the material as you go in. So what are the admission requirements for PrEP? Proof of Canadian law degree or certificate of qualification, a CQ, from the Federation of Law Societies of Canada for holders of a foreign law degree. A National Committee on Accreditation certificate must be provided by the Federation of the Law Societies of Canada. If you have not received your official NCA certificate, we would accept written confirmation from the Federation. Traditionally, students were required to secure an articling position by the end of phase 1 of PrEP. However, the decision has been made that we will be changing that for this year in response to the COVID pandemic and the issue that students are having with securing articles during that time. So the change will allow students to, without secured articles, to complete the entire program. So they can come in, they can do their educational piece, get that done, and then while they're doing that, continue to look and secure an article. So the change provides students with an opportunity to complete your bar admission program without delay. And as well, it will allow students to develop the necessary competencies and practice lawyer skills within PrEP that we think will make you much more hireable, if you will, to start that articling role. So students without a secured article will be responsible for the entire program cost of the program. Now the cost of the program is $6,100, which is payable to CPLED. In Alberta, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, and Nova Scotia, there are subsidies that are given, but they are only given by the law societies. They're only given for students who have secured an article. So if you start in the program, you pay the $6,100, and then you receive an article, and you will be reimbursed directly by your law society for that subsidy. So you'll still get the whole subsidy, even if you went through the whole program and then secured an articling position in one of those provinces, you would receive the whole subsidy on the back end. So that will be refunded directly from the law society. So those registering for PrEP without secured articles, you have to register by June 26th in order to take part in the June intake. If at all possible, I strongly recommend you register early rather than late. It gives you a little bit more time with the foundation modules. And if you join by the deadline of June 26th, you're going to be held to a very strict schedule in order to make sure that you're successful. You know, we put schedules in place because we've been through 2 pilots of the program, and we've learned, like everybody else, we all procrastinate until the last minute. So we've put schedules in place to ensure that you have adequate time to reflect on the learning, as opposed to just trying to get it done as soon as possible. So you would register for phase 1 foundation modules only at this time, and then registration for phases 2 through 4 will be released in the coming weeks. The interim admission changes in effect for PrEP for this year will be reviewed throughout 2020 as CPLED has to answer to the participating law societies proactively and how they're going to respond to the economic and logistical impacts of COVID-19 to students and to the legal profession. I can also say that for the 2020 intake, we will be doing everything virtually so that we are socially responsible to the well-being of our students and our facilitators and our assessors. So we've already run through 2 pilots, and we've run what was a face-to-face module, we've run it through a virtual situation, and we'll learn from that, and we'll have that ready to go for the face-to-face in October. But we also have a course that we piloted through the Federation in the spring, and got some very, very effective and affirmative feedback from the pilot students, which is our legal research and writing course. So legal research and writing are fundamental skills that are required of practicing lawyers in Canada. And to help students better prepare for bar admission, we've developed a legal research and writing LRW course that provides students with insights and best practices, as well as an opportunity to apply their learnings throughout the course. We have received feedback from some of our students and some of our foreign trained students that they wish they had a little bit more training before coming into the bar admission program to get them up to speed. So this is in direct response to that ask. The LRW course is 8 weeks. It consists of 2 online modules, and there'll be multiple choice quizzes at the end of each module, and 2 assignments that include both research and writing components. So students must complete the first module, which is legal research, fact gathering, case management, before they can do the second module, which is written communications and legal writing. We piloted this course earlier this year, as I mentioned, to a small group, national committee of accreditation students, and they were at all different stages of the NCA process. And this pilot provided us with the opportunity to gain some really valuable feedback from the students and to make adjustments where necessary for the course. So pilot students found that the course helped expand their knowledge of legal practice in Canada, and all indicated that they would recommend this course to their NCA. Students who complete the LRW course would meet the admission requirements for the Practice Readiness Education Program. So they would subsequently, if they were registering for prep, they would be exempt from the legal research, fact gathering, and case management module, and the written communication and legal writing modules. So they wouldn't have to do the work again, and it would free up a little bit more time for them. So with that, I thought that I would leave adequate time for questions. So I will open the floor to any questions that anyone might have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kara. I can't see anyone's face apart from your face right now.
Do you want me to stop sharing? Let me stop sharing.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, great. Yeah.
I have a few questions for Dr. Kara.
Okay. Okay, can I read your question? You can go ahead.
Dr. Kara, I need to run at 1 o'clock, but maybe you can take down notes of the questions and you can answer it for those that stay back after I'm gone. So my first question is how this organization, GLC, can help or partner with CPLED going forward. If you have any ideas. My next question is the cost of the prep is $6,100. When I did this CPLED a few years ago, it was about $3,000.
That's subsidized.
So $3,000 was subsidized?
Yeah, that would have been a subsidized. So there's a difference between the cost of the program and what students pay for tuition, right? So right now, students who have an article who come into this program, they're not paying $6,100. They're paying actually in Alberta, they're paying $2,500.
Okay.
So that difference is the Law Society will subsidize for them.
All right, okay.
Right. So, but then for your first question, I think there's a ton of opportunity for us to partner together. Eric Pye is on the call. Eric is a new member of our group who is going to be working with in student advisory services. And one of his primary roles will be working with those students who are having a harder time finding an article. Right. So, we understand that internationally trained law students and lawyers have they don't have the same socialization opportunities as a student who goes through the Canadian process, right? They don't, some are somewhere, they're not recruited in their second year of law, right? So they already know that they've got an article when they finish. They're basically, they come in, they write their CQ, they get their CQ, and then they're left off on their own. Go find your own article. It's not the same process. So we did know that we wanted to offer that service. So I think there's a great relationship that can be built between our two organizations on, you know, what you're seeing, how we can help with that, what type of resources you feel would be the most beneficial for your committee members.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for that.
You're welcome.
And for the foundation module, I want to ask the question, but I would explain why. The foundation module, you said you don't even need to have secured articles before doing the foundation module. And like you rightly said, for international trained lawyers, this is good because we struggle with articles. However, the question is there an option to pay these fees instrumentally? Because if the student doesn't have articles yet, that means they will be paying out of pocket.
That's right. We do have a payment plan. So it's based on each phase. So you would have to pay for that phase. So 4 phases of the program. So you would have to pay for each phase before you would get access to that phase.
Right, okay. Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's all for me.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Kenneth. Before I take other questions, I have a question of my own to ask. Dr. Kara, thanks for the presentation and thanks for coming on this webinar today. I was actually one of the few NCA candidates that was part of the pilot of the legal research and writing course, and I would say it was quite an interesting one. So my question is this. I know the legal research and writing course cost about $375. So, and there is also one of the advantages of doing the legal research and writing course as an NCA candidate is that you get an exemption when you're taking the prep course from those foundation modules. So do you also get exemption from the cost? No.
So there is the exemption. It's a good question, and it's good to get it out there right up front, right? So the exemption is time, not cost. The 375 is actually, we came, given the fact that you get one-on-one feedback with an instructor, the 375 is actually quite, it's quite inexpensive when you consider it to the foundation modules, which are all online. So you have a better connection and you're getting that feedback and you're seeing your progression. So there, we do give the exemption for time, but we don't give the exemption for cost.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Kara. I don't know if any other person has a question for Dr. Kara.
Can you hear me? This is Carmen Aguilera. Can you hear me, Dr. Kara?
I can.
I have been in Calgary for 20 years, and I wish that your program and GLC would have existed before I would be a graduated lawyer by now. So thank you very much for your presentation, for your programs. I think they're extremely helpful. I am a lawyer from Guatemala, and what I do really is I do court interpretation. Okay. So I can't stress enough the importance that when you are doing court interpretation of people speaking slow and clear. It's extremely important for us. As slow as possible, not as fast. In most trials, there's a tendency to read precedent cases, and that's kind of difficult for a court interpreter to follow. So again, I think your courses are excellent, and they prepare people even better if they're going to go, lawyers even better if they're going to go to a trial. And my last question is if we can get a copy of your presentation.
Yes, we'll be more than happy to share a copy of the presentation. So Carly from Communications will send that to Kenny, and then Kenny can distribute that to everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions for Dr. Kara?
Arthur.
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Kara. My question is the training in both languages, French and English? Because knowing that Manitoba people speak French there, I don't know if the training is also in French.
Yeah, and it's a good question. At this point, with the majority of our students being all English speaking, the economic, because this is a startup, so we don't really have a lot of financial runway at this point. So, okay. At this point, we've gone with English. That's not to say that if we were to move into other areas that that wouldn't become more of an option, but for now it will only be offered in English.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Otto. So I think we'll just allow Dr. Kara to take a leave now. So really appreciate you coming on this call. And Kali, thanks for making this happen too. And Eric, really appreciate you joining us today too. So on behalf of the GLC team, I want to say thank you.
Perfect.
It was good to have you.
Thank you very much.
We'll be sure to be in touch, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Take care, everyone.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we'll be moving straight to the next session.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be moving straight to the next session. I don't know if Kenneth is still here, if you would like to introduce Dr. Tito Daodu to us.
Dari, can you not see me?
I can see you now. No, I was just wondering, since you said you would be leaving.
Oh, well, I still have 3 minutes.
Okay.
So thanks for that. So next we have, is Dr. Tito's video on yet? Oh, there she is. Okay, thanks, Dr. Tito. So we have Dr. Tito. She's a pediatric surgery fellow at Alberta Children's Hospital, and she's currently completing her master's in public health at Harvard, T.H. Chan School of Public Health, Harvard University, USA. So I want to assume you are doing online courses right now, Dr. Tito. Or I'm thinking you're not in Harvard right now, right? So Dr. Tito was named in Avenue Magazine's Top 40 Under 40 last year. She finished medical school at University of Manitoba in 2013 and completed her residency in general surgery in 2018 at the University of Calgary. She's a strong advocate for health and wellness among physicians and trainees. And today she's going to speak to us about mental health during this COVID pandemic.
Thank you very much.
And here you are, Dr. Tito. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. It's a great opportunity to have it's a great opportunity to speak with you all today. I'm just going to share my screen. If we, yeah, okay, there we go. Can everybody, all right, so we'll get started. It'll be a short talk. We always talk about disclosures in medicine when we're giving a presentation. I don't have anything to disclose, but a lot of this presentation has been adapted from the Canadian Mental Health Association. So just a brief overview of what does wellness really mean and when people start to talk about mental health. So wellness gets defined as the quality state of being healthy in body and mind, especially as a result of deliberate effort. So it's really important to note that wellness and the concept of wellness is not just something that comes naturally. It is something that requires deliberate effort and work to get to a point where you feel well. The global wellness economy in 2017, obviously before all of the pandemic broke out, is an industry that makes $4.2 trillion a year, approximately, in all sorts of areas in which people seek out and look for their wellness. And what we're really going to focus on today is some of the preventative health, public health, and mental health awareness things that people can look at in terms of maintaining wellness, especially as there's not a lot of beauty and spas and gyms and wellness tourism going on anymore. So just a brief outline. Today we're going to talk about the psychological challenges that you face during crisis situations. We're going to also discuss strategies to support mental health and well-being, and considerations for staying healthy at work if you're at work, and ways to continue to support your friends and your family. If you look at a wellness wheel, there's many areas that people use to define wellness, and those are everything from occupational, environmental, emotional, and intellectual, financial, and spiritual. And when you start talking about a crisis that hits the entire world so rapidly and in such quick succession, you start to see that all of these areas of wellness and mental health start to get impacted by the global pandemic. The first thing I really want to emphasize, but as I start, because people, especially very high functioning people like yourselves, think it's important that they are just okay, that they keep going and you feel good and yeah, I'm fine, I'm going to make it through this. And you know, I really want to emphasize that it's okay to not be okay, and to admit that this is a stressful situation. It is very different for everyone. And there's not anyone in your life, including yourself, that is not impacted by this pandemic. And when you're facing an emergencies, they're always stressful to deal with. And these sources of stress are numerous, including fear and anxiety about getting sick. You know, I think especially earlier on in this crisis, many people were worried that if they left their homes, or how quickly does this virus spread and what's going to happen to me if I get COVID-19, what's, you know, how will it impact my family? How will it impact my job? The other thing is that we were very quickly forced to adapt to a new normal that didn't happen gradually. It happened almost overnight. And it also puts strain on our social networks, our ability to connect with people and deal with stress in the way that many people do, which includes social gatherings, community, and family. And so instantaneously, we were thrown into a very stressful situation, sort of on a global scale, that forced us all to adapt rapidly and didn't allow us to have the usual mechanisms that we use to protect our mental health. And so we tend to see during these times increased incidence of mental health problems, especially anxiety, anxiety around uncertainty and not knowing what's going to happen next, or having plans that have been majorly disrupted that are important to you. And then it also can exacerbate for anybody who has already existing mental health problems. It can make those things very much worse. There are a lot of phases that are really commonly seen. And when you look at individuals who have gone through disasters or emergencies, so this is looked at in areas where they've had massive hurricanes or typhoons, earthquakes that have shaken, these fires. When you follow people that have gone through crisis, there's always that pre-disaster phase where you're doing okay. Okay, we're preparing for it. We're trying to figure out what to do. We think about that. And I'm sure most of us can remember, as people started to think about COVID-19 and what might happen, you were kind of like, it's all right. We're going to be okay. We'll only be in quarantine for a couple of weeks. And then you get into this heroic phase when the impact happens of, all right, we're doing this for our community. We're all together. You know, we have to support our healthcare workers and our frontline workers. And so you go from that impact to feeling a little bit of a high, like we are all in this together. It's hard, but this is what we all need to do to make things work. But what happens when that crisis and the reality of it sets in, and you go from thinking this is 2 weeks or 3 weeks or maybe a month of my life, to it being, oh, it's been 3 months and it's going to go on for longer, and things are never going to be quite like they were before. You get into this phase of real disillusionment of, you know, the whole structure of which you're able to live your life with starts to feel like it's falling apart. And those skills of resilience that you had been building up and that you used in that first part of the crisis start to really decrease. And so then you have to start coming to terms with the fact that this may be a long haul. And so that whole idea of the recovery and going into the bounce back, which means that it's kind of that moment where you say, okay, well, this is it. We're going to be in this for a long time. I need to use my resilience to say, I may not be at my baseline. I may not be as good as I was before, but I'm going to bounce back. I am going to make it better. And you know, this point on the screen here is, I feel, really important, this anniversary reactions that can cause regression. And some of those things, you know, I'll give you an example, is that you know, people are canceling things like their weddings, or they're canceling moving to another city to work on a big project, or a job that they were supposed to start in another country has fallen apart. And when it, you know, if that happened 2 months ago, leading up to the time you were supposed to leave, that anniversary reaction of, oh, this was the day I was supposed to have done this, or this was the day I was supposed to have done that. So having those sort of reactions as time goes on does happen. So it's not an upward trend where it's all up, 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 but you start to trend back to normal and get into that bounce back phase. But the key is to develop resilience while things are feeling disillusioned, and while you're in that recovery phase, to be able to find new purpose, new meaning, and new hope. And the thing that is essential to build that is those skills in mental health that make you stronger. So some of those strategies that are used to support your mental health, the first thing is just acceptance, realizing that the situation is totally out of control. You didn't cause it to happen. You didn't make it happen. It is happening to you. It is happening at you. And it's something that just needs to be accepted as this is reality. Because a lot of people spend time in this phase where they go, well, you know, it's not so bad, or it's not a big deal. And, you know, we've all seen this in the COVID crisis, where the people that have ignored it and refused to accept that it's really happening have ended up in situations where things get much, much, much worse. Where when you accept it and you embrace that this is the reality, it helps to frame mentally for you that that this is just where you're at, and that's the circumstance, but it's not you. The other thing that's really important is to challenge negative thoughts that come up. And this is something that is really, really hard for many people, because you start to think negatively, and it's easy to get into a spiral of allowing those thoughts to dominate you and continue to move forward with those. But with each negative thought as they come up, it's really essential to say, no, this is not true. You confront those negative thoughts with something that is positive and something that has a better sort of reality. And something that we get sort of worse at, and you know, the society in 2020 is worse at compared to maybe 10 or 20 years ago, is limiting the amount of information we take in that's stressful. So one of the major recommendations for people as they're approaching crisis, and right now it feels like the world is on fire, is to say, I am not going to spend my entire day on Twitter feeds getting the bad information about what's going on. I'm not going to spend my entire day finding out what the death toll is, or how many cities are rioting, or what's all of those things. Limiting that time to saying, I'm going to only spend 30 minutes or 40 minutes looking at the news, finding what's going on, and the rest of my time, I'm going to spend doing things that help to support my mental health and help me to feel connected. The other step is staying connected with people, and that can feel challenging because a lot of the times we can't physically see people right now, but we also have this great blessing that there's lots of opportunities for us to stay connected through FaceTime, with Zoom, with phone calls. We're more connected globally than we've ever been. You know, I've been able to talk to people I haven't talked to in a long time because there suddenly is a little bit more time and space to be able to do that. And then you have to practice being proactive about your health and health management. We'll talk a little bit more about sort of the steps that you can do to do that later. But one of those primary things in terms of limiting stressful information and challenging those negative thoughts is focusing on the things that you actually can control and not the things that are out of your control. And so one of the big steps that helps people to start to feel better and to cope better is when you start to say, well, I may not be able to control if I can go to the mall or get a pedicure or see my friends in public or have this event I wanted to have. But the things that I can control are, they may be small things, but the feeling of normality by being able to control those small things and focusing on them is really important as a good coping strategy. And so we'd mentioned challenging negative thoughts before, and this is a really common thought trap that people get caught into. So you have a negative thought, and these are things like you're catastrophizing, your emotional reasoning is totally off, you're thinking of everything is in black and white when there's really, really a lot of gray. And so that negative thought gets generated, it gives you a negative emotion, and then you translate that into unhelpful actions. Then you get caught in this spiral with those negative thoughts of, oh, well, this just happened. So all of the things feel like they're tumbling and falling apart, which generates more negative thoughts, more negative emotions, and more unhelpful action points afterwards. At the end of the day, it's just about self-care, and self-care in and of itself is hard work. We're not very used to focusing on doing that for ourselves, particularly people who are professionals are really, really good at taking care of their client, taking care of their patient, finishing that project, studying for that exam, but focusing on self-care is actually something that needs to consciously happen. And you need to start to face your stressors rather than avoid them. And so the ways in which people develop self-care routines and regimens are going to be different for everybody. There's going to be things that you like to do that other people may not find doesn't help them at all. But it's all about developing intentional habits and practices. And this goes back to the idea of wellness requires your effort. These are intentional habits and practices that support your well-being. And for each person, those are going to take different forms. We have to sort of accept that it's not business as usual right now. And so even in our work, there's this tendency to feel like, well, last month or 2 months ago or last year, I was this productive, or I was able to do these many things. But now I'm restricted to being able to do that. And I think that means that for all of us, we need to have empathy and understanding for one another, that this is something we're all going through together. We also need to change what our productivity expectations are, and even the terms of which we get to those endpoints. Because if you're working from home suddenly, instead of working in the office, your frame of mind and how to get things done might change. So even giving yourself space to say, well, I can only get 50% of the work done today. Maybe I will do some of it later in the evening. Or, maybe I shouldn't be expected to get 100% of the work done today. So changing those expectations for your own productivity. And then having a clear need for direction and prioritization. So making sure that you have prioritized the things that are important to you. And on that list, self-care has to be on the list. And so this is just a saying that mental health organizations have been using a lot. Is they're saying we're not working from home during the pandemic. We are staying safe at home during the pandemic, and we're trying to get some work done. So it's a different frame of mind than, oh yes, we're all working from home. No, we're at home because we need to stay safe and protect our society. And during that time while we're at home, we're trying to do work. And reframing what you're doing on your day-to-day in those terms is really helpful for those even small disappointments that might come by saying, I wanted to finish XYZ things, but the kids were in the background. I had to pause to make them lunch. It's just accepting the reality of the situation and saying, I'm getting work done from home during this pandemic, not I'm working from home. So this is much of the same things in terms of practical strategies. Finding a new routine to fit into what your life looks like. And everyone's life looks a little bit different. If you have small children at home versus if you are single and by yourself, your routine is going to totally change around. And you have to figure out for yourself what that new routine looks like. And you also have to look at accessing supports in your workplace and working with your colleagues to find out what is going to work the best for all of you in the situations that you're in. So sometimes that means talking to people about saying, hey, you know what? My kids are now waking up at I don't know what time kids wake up, but my kids are now waking up at this time. We're trying to do nap time at noon. Can we just do this meeting at noon instead when I know the kids are going to be napping? And using those support systems that are at your workplace to make that happen. In terms of managing stress, it's actually pretty straightforward, but we often get it wrong. Number one is exercise regularly. This is a place, and maintaining a healthy diet is number two. This is a place where we often fall short when we're feeling isolated and we can't do the normal things that we would do to try to maintain a healthy diet and exercise regularly. Looking for ways to do that, if it means walking, if it means doing online classes, if it means going for a hike in the mountains, but making sure that you do that is really key to managing your stress and taking the edge off of what's going on in your situation. Maintaining a healthy diet, having mac and cheese and pop and chips is actually not going to help you out. It might feel good in the short term if those are your comfort foods that you go to, but when your body starts to feel it that you're in a stress mode because you're not eating and maintaining a healthy diet, it does affect your mental health as well. And so, I personally am guilty of this at the start of the pandemic, where I felt like, well, my gym is closed and I bought all these non-perishable foods so that I could make it through quarantine. And so you have to start to shift back to saying, how do I set my day up so that these wellness actions work for me? The other most important thing to do is to take a break. Give yourself frequent breaks. You take breaks at work normally. You take vacations. Don't be afraid to still take those kinds of time. There's a lot of people that feel like, well, you know, I had a vacation that was scheduled for next week, but since nobody's going anywhere anyways, I might as well just work. You should still take that vacation. You should still take that break, even if it means or looks like something different, but making sure you're controlling the time to take breaks and do things for yourself. Sleeping and resting are really important. There's also a tendency when you're stuck at home to get on Netflix and watch it until 2:30 in the morning, and then you got a Zoom meeting that's at 7 a.m. and your whole routine gets messed up. Making sure that you make time to sleep and rest, and connecting with others. And there's tons of ways that you can do that. And as we go through, as we're slowly reopening things, that connecting with others is going to be another really important step for helping people manage stress. In terms of supporting other people, this is a big deal that some people find that their mental distress during COVID-19 has been less about the things that they have lost personally, but more about watching other people lose things that matter to them. Seeing your friends lose their jobs and go on unemployment, seeing your friends cancel major events, looking at the loss that is around you that is not necessarily an impact to yourself personally. And so in terms of being able to support others, asking what's going on and expressing concern, taking the time to listen and understanding, be encouraging and be a helper, and just keep connecting back to and providing just practical support for people. So if you are one of the people that is in a position to help, then being able to find and give practical support back is one of those things that does help the people that are around you, but it also helps you feel like you are taking control of the situation and you're doing things that you can do when other things are out of whack. I would be remiss to give any form of talk about mental health without giving you the phone number for crisis services, understanding that the way that mental distress will impact people at this time is so different. If you are a person in crisis, it's very important that you call. There's many helplines. You should reach out to them. They're 24 hours. They'll have support for community support systems, lots of people to talk to through any issues, and lots of resources are available. So don't be afraid to reach out and find out what resources are available to you. Okay, that's it. I didn't want to take too much of your time, so I'm open to any questions you might have.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tito, for that presentation. It was quite insightful. I didn't know I could really learn about mental health in that dimension. I'm really grateful you came on this call today. Before I open the channel for people to ask questions, I'd like to ask a question on my own first. So in these times, a lot is happening right now. 2020 is such an interesting year. And so now the question is, how do you balance trying to stay off social media, soaking unnecessary information, and also ensuring that you're connected enough to know what's going on without compromising your mental health? What advice do you have?
I think that the biggest thing is to set limits for yourself. You know, you have ability to control what your feeds show. And I think that there's different types of social media platforms that you can use to reach out to people. For the people that are the most important to you, it is very easy to send a direct message and skip all the other stuff that's going on. It's easy to pick up your phone and FaceTime or do a WhatsApp message and find out what's going on. Celebrate with people and make a mental note that is what I'm using this time frame for. If you say between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., I am not going to read any news. If there's a news thing that comes up, I'm just going to ignore it and swipe past it. Or, you know, something that I've tried to do sometimes is I'm just putting my cell phone away. Then later on in the evening, you know, this is a 2-hour window where I'll connect to social media. I'll find out what's going on with my friends. I'll schedule calls with people that we have. I have girlfriends that are all over the country and the world. We'll find a Zoom time that works for all of us. It's 7 a.m. in Australia and 6 p.m. in Canada, but we're getting together to make that happen. It's something that you're just going to your computer to have that social event, as opposed to, oh, now I'm going to open up the New York Times. Because there's so much information and there's so much out there. And also everyone has more time right now to post bad news than they did before. And so that surge of information is even more than it was in the past. So you have to consciously choose to say, I'm blocking it out and I'm not looking at these things. I'm just not going to look at these things for whatever that time frame is that works for you. Or I'm going to read the news in the morning. I'm going to read the news in the evening. I'm going to make sure that the 2 hours before I go to sleep, I don't get any new bad information.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tito. Thank you for that response. Does any other person have questions for Dr. Tito before we release her? Any questions?
All right, I'm not sure we have.
I think Carmen was saying something. Oh, okay, she was just saying excellent presentation. Okay, I think I will just hand over to Dial to wrap up the event. Thanks, Dr. Tito, for coming.
Thank you very much.
On behalf of the GLC, we say thank you.
Thank you so much. That was a very nice presentation. We're very grateful to you. Now, I know we're supposed to have this event from 12 to 1 p.m., I guess. And I think we've exceeded our time. We're very sorry about that. And we know we've all, enjoyed this session. We're very grateful to you for, staying with us and for your contributions and for everything you're doing. Yeah.
So I'll just say on behalf of the members of the board of GLC Calgary Alberta chapter, I would like to say thank you all for joining us for this Members Connect and information session. We hope that if you have any question that is related to getting licensed in Canada or the NCA exams, you can send an email to info@glcanada.org, or you can send an email directly to any of the directors and we'll be sure to respond to you. Thank you so much everyone for participating, and have a great day.
Yeah.